Guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Casual Podcast. I'm Rob,
I'm Jonathan.
and we have a big guest today.
Yeah, guys, I wake up to this guy's Instagram page every day. He's hilarious. He calls out phony martial artists and he exposes fraudulent martial art dojos. Let's give it up for my friend Rob from McDojo Life. There he is.
Yeah.
Yo,
Welcome,
What's
Rob.
up? What's
Dude,
going on?
thank you so much for
I'm all
joining
right.
the Casual Podcast, dude. And I got to tell you, first and foremost, congrats on what you're doing, man. Your company is blowing up these days.
Yeah.
Blowing up these
trying.
days. So we're going to jump right in, man. Rob, you have garnered quite the Instagram audience. And I look forward to your posts every day. They're hilarious. And it's like literally the first page I check when I get out of bed.
Yeah.
So I just introduced the audience to how you expose these phony martial artists and fraudulent schools and stuff like that. But I want to ask you, was there like one specific incident that initially made you embark on this quest?
Yeah, man. It was actually a conversation, which was kind of funny. So at the time, I was like a one-stripe blue belt slash coach. So I was just kind of helping out and assisting with classes at the time, but I was mainly running the front desk at the academy that I train at. And while I was there, the instructor at the time was like, hey, man, I'm not feeling very well. Can you do me a favor and just cover this class for me today? Which he never did. So I was like, all right, that's cool. Not a problem. So I taught like 2 techniques and then we sparred for the rest of the time. And then we all kind of stood around shooting. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. It's just a natural vocabulary for me. So I didn't know if I needed to edit.
Same here.
But anyway, we were just kind of standing around shooting the shit. And everybody left. Well, while we were having that conversation, we kind of touched on what McDojos were. And one of the newer guys, it was only like his second class ever in martial arts. He waited for everyone to leave and he kind of pulled me to the side, a bit embarrassed, I guess. I don't know why, but he was like, hey man, I know you guys were talking about a McDojo, but I've never heard that. What is that? And so I was like, oh, well, I gave him my version of what I consider a McDojo at the time, which over the years has changed a little bit. And then when I gave that to him, he just asked me one question that kind of set everything off. He said, well, why doesn't anybody do anything about that? And the honest answer at the time was, I don't know. I really do not know why there's no regulating body to the martial arts. I mean, think about it. You have, in order to be a certified plumber, right? You have to go to school. You have to get like your license and everything. And with that job, you might go into someone's house and just unclog a toilet, but you have to be certified to handle their crap.
Yep.
Right. But in a martial arts studio, we're dealing with people's livelihoods, their lives, their safety. You could just make some shit up. And so like that was a bothersome question for somebody who had been in the arts since I was like 12. I just didn't know. And so I figured the only way that you're going to be able to actually make an impact is if you get everybody on the same side. And in the martial arts, everybody hates everyone. Taekwondo hates jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu hates everybody else. MMA is the best. Karate's the best. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so it seems like we all at least are in agreement about a few things. And I figured that if I can at least rally the troops around a couple ideals, then maybe there'll be at least one place where most martial arts, can kind of at least agree. And then maybe that'll help, eventually advance the arts in general from it being the self-destructive kind of entity to something that we can all at least say, hey, we all just genuinely just don't like that. And then maybe that'll help.
That's great, man.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. So what do you think is the thought process behind a fake martial artist who is deliberately lying? Because it just seems that you see a lot of these guys that they'll open up their own, karate place and they get a lot of, a lot of followers. Sometimes it's almost like cult-like, where it's like you couldn't tell them what they're learning is wrong, So what do you think's the mentality for somebody like that knows they're deliberately frauding people?
See, that's the hardest part is when I first started doing this, I thought that they were all aware and they were all doing it purposely. But unfortunately, the delusion is so grand that I don't think that that's always the case. For instance, in Indonesia, they have something called Tenaga Dalam. Tenaga Dalam is their personal cultural belief in magic. Like they believe that they can use their magic voodoo powers to knock people out or not be hurt, or they can saw their neck without being cut or pour acid on themselves without being hurt. And we might look at that and go, they must know.
They pour acid on themselves?
Well, no, they don't pour acid. It's a magic trick, but they try to convince the
I
locals.
see. Okay, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
so like it's some type of a liquid that will smoke whenever it hits whatever it hits, and so it looks
like street performers.
Exactly, it looks like acid. Or they'll do these magic tricks where they have these swords where they'll saw their neck or hack themselves and not be hurt. The problem with that is they convince the young children at a very young age that this is real, that they do have these magical abilities. But hell, within the last month, I've seen a kid run over by a truck and killed at a martial arts demonstration. He was only like 12 years old. I saw a 6-year-old slit his own throat because he believed the Tanaga Dalam so much that he picked up a real knife and did it and killed himself. I mean, that's just a few touches of things that I can't show on Instagram, because if I put any of that on social media, it'll get taken down. But that kind of stuff helps solidify my resolve that what I'm doing is trying to help people. And, but really, to go back to that question, I don't think that everybody's doing it on purpose.
Right.
Like, I don't think that those people are purposely putting people in harm's way. I think the culture has made them believe something so deep in their roots that they just perpetuate the cycle while not knowing the dangers of what could happen. But the other is always money, power.
I was gonna say that it's looking out for themselves, and it's like making some money on gullible people.
I mean, even like you said, karate studios, man. Like, hell, I see more jiu-jitsu studios breaking most of the rules than most any other studio.
For sure.
Like, here's one of my favorite terms, crianche, right? And so crianche, it's a big term in jiu-jitsu, which basically means traitor. Like, it's somebody who goes from one studio and goes to another studio, basically. And so a lot of instructors would be like, no, you can't train anywhere else but here. Like, fuck you. I'm paying you money for a service. I'll train where I please. Like, I pay you money, you give me service, and then I can do whatever the fuck I want with the rest of my life. And if you don't like that, feel free to kiss my ass. But most studios, they have that like cult mentality where it's like, well, I have to listen to the master,
blind loyalty,
or the professor.
Yeah,
you know. And it's like, if I choose to do that, that's my decision. But if I choose also that I would like to train with a homie who happens to be in another studio, this isn't the Bloods versus the Crips. You know, I'm trying to better myself. And if you're a good instructor, you should care more about your students than your bottom line. It's just the truth.
So do you think that a majority of the people that are running these McDojos are delusional then? Like a majority of them would be?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of delusion. Like I call it Steven Seagal syndrome.
Right.
If you look at Steven Seagal's career, it has like a weird ebb and flow, right? Because when he started off, he literally started off as just an Aikido instructor. And then he happened to teach either a producer or director, I forget exactly who it was, but that guy was like, hey, you'd be great in my movie. And then the guy was like, all right, cool, I'll do movies. Like, who the hell wouldn't want to do that, right?
Right.
No, I'll do that all day. And then so I think that the baseline ego was already kind of there. And I think that he probably was surrounded by a lot of yes men. He was really popular in the 80s. And I think that Hollywood has that effect on some people, not everybody, but it has that effect on some people where their baseline of who they are just kind of gets blown up. If they're a good person, well, they'll be a good person on a large scale. But if they're a shitty person, now they're a shitty person on a large scale.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
And so I think Seagal started off with the best of intentions, but was surrounded by yes men. Next thing you know, he's molesting people on set. He's beating people up, literally hitting people on set. Like, you can't do that. Like, this isn't a dojo. This is the world. And so I think that his delusion of being this great master was blown out of proportion. Do I think that he's a douche? Yes. Do I think that at one time he was a great martial artist? Yes. But unfortunately, his ego was allowed to grow to what he is today.
You start to buy into your own hype. You know.
So
I grew up studying Kenpo. I grew up wrestling, Muay Thai, and boxing when I moved to LA, and I've been into jiu-jitsu now for a while. I think it's super important that these frauds 100% be called out. I think it's highly irresponsible. I think it's quite frankly dangerous to the people that are in these schools. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever, like, you've been calling out these people for a while now, have you ever had a face-to-face run-in with anyone you've exposed, or have you ever, like, actually walked into one of these McDojos and called them out?
Yeah, well, I actually, in order for us to do the beta test, I guess you could say, for our documentary, I had to go and really just, okay, well, what can we get away with on the fly? So I signed up for a martial arts seminar from a guy named Adam Misner. And Adam Misner is like a very, very famous kook. And he does these things where he'll sit in a chair, and anytime I post his stuff, it always makes me crack up. but he'll sit in a chair and a guy will be
I'm
standing.
already laughing.
No, it's bad. It's so bad. And as he's sitting in this chair, he'll like do like a chi sao, which is like a Wing Chun type of drill, but it's like a Tai Chi drill as well, where he'll like just touch the person and they'll fly back 30 feet. I'm like, dude, that dude would just punch you in the mouth. Like, that does not work. And it's like, I've been doing this for 23 years of my life. If I could do that shit, I would just do that shit all day. Why would I do jiu-jitsu? What's the point? I can just touch you, right? But I thought I was signing up for his seminar, and then I signed up for it, which was really weird because on the website was a little bit of gold. They didn't have an exact location and exact time. They just had a date. And they were like, seminar in LA. And it was on this day. Send them an email, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, they sent me an email back. I wrote a long diatribe about what my goals were, what I was there to do. I'm looking to film a documentary, blah, blah, blah. They only sent me back a location and a time. That was it. No, hi, nice to meet you. We're really excited to have you join our seminar. None of that crap. It just literally had time, location. And I was like, all right, well, that blows. So unbeknownst, I paid $250 to go to this fucking seminar. I fly my ass out to LA. I get my camera crew from Fresno. They come down. We wind up showing up and we waited there. We got a whole bunch of B-roll footage at a dog park somewhere in LA that overlooks the Hollywood sign, right?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where that's at.
It's like a little spirally, mountainy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we're there shooting B-roll footage. And I was like, dude, where are these people? It's like 30 minutes late. I was like, am I in the wrong spot? Then a black van, no shit, pulls up. No decals, no nothing, all blacked out van. A door opens up and all these people pour out of this thing, all wearing 100% black. And the only reason I knew it was them was because they had the logo of what was on the website. And I was like, that's got to be them. Walk up. I'm the only person there who did not show up as a group. And all the people there were already a part of his studio. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to stand out like a sore thumb, especially with a camera guy. Walk up and the dude's huge. He's like 7'2", probably.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and he's like 7'2", probably an easy 350, if not more. He's big, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I look up, like, hey man, how's it going? I'm about to be a real dick here in a second. Like, it's intimidating, dude. I don't give a fuck what people say. How long you been training? Size matters. I don't care what anybody says, dude.
Yeah.
So I shake the guy's hand and I say, hey man, if you don't mind, I'd like to film some of this for our documentary. And he goes, no, and he just walks away. And I was like, fuck. All right, well, how about this? I was like, well, would we be able to maybe just do some B-roll? No audio. Maybe we can just get some footage of us moving. He's like, no, not at all. And then so finally I was like, well, if you don't mind, like my camera guy's already here. He's just going to go around and shoot some B-roll while we're doing our seminar. He won't film or anything like that. And of course I walk up to my cameraman and I go, I don't give a fuck
Get
what
everything.
you do.
Get it all.
Get every ounce on footage.
Fucking start rolling right now.
Dude. I was like, consequences be damned. And so, but I have my wireless on, right? And so I took my wireless mic and I just put it in my pocket with the mic out. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and turn off my mic. I put it in my pocket. It got everything clear as day on audio. It's a silent dog park. Like there was nothing going on out there.
Right.
We wind up standing there. We go, the first 2 hours, we literally did not move. And by don't move, I mean, that's exactly what I mean. He was like, all right, guys, I want you to hold this pose. That's all he says. He stands like there. And then we stand there. 20 minutes go by. Dead silence. Nobody says shit.
And wait, how many people are there? How many people are in this seminar?
About 15 people in the seminar.
Okay.
And so he does that. 20 minutes go, and then his cell phone goes off. Meh. I was like, all right, well, that's weird. All right, well, okay, now what? And then he's like, now hold this pose. 20 more minutes. That happens for 2 hours straight. So after 2 hours, my back is killing me, dude. We're just standing there in these weird funky poses. So he goes, all right, guys, let's go and get a water break before we do our next 2 hours. I was like, all right. We stood there in silence with no open chit chat. So this is kind of like 2 hours that have been burnt. Like I can't use any of this shit. And so after that, we wind up doing the water. Well, one of his instructors went to go take a sip of water. As he went to go take a sip of water, his head naturally tilted up and he fucking made eye contact with my cameraman, who went up a little higher onto the cliff to film down. And so he stops and he goes, I'll be right back. And he leaves. And so I pull out my phone. I'm like, I think the guy's coming.
Run.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's no damn signal in this cliff. Like you have no signal out there. And so I noticed like none of my text messages is sent. I don't know if he's getting footage. I got nothing. the guy winds up going up, and my cameraman, slick as shit, he trades out for the B-roll that we did earlier.
Oh, smart.
And so like he was like, look, man, everything that I've been filming, I'm not filming you guys. I'm just up here like filming the scenery, right? He goes, I came out here, blah, blah, blah. Convinces the guy. The guy comes back and we continue the seminar. And then the guy starts opening up a little dialogue. Now we actually did movement, very Tai Chi type of movement. But then he starts talking and I was like, oh, this is gold. So I wind up getting around to asking him a question. I was like, most martial arts have like a belt structure or a system of hierarchy. I go, how does yours work? He goes, oh, well, we have levels. I go, okay, like how many levels? He goes, oh, we have 10 levels. I go, that makes sense because usually like the highest degree is 10th degree. It makes a lot of sense. So I go, well, who has the highest, like who's the 10th degree or who's the 10th level guy? Who's the highest guy? Oh, he goes, oh, no. Humans can't reach level 10. Humans can only reach level 7. I was like,
only 7.
I was like, what?
Oh
like,
my God.
Like who else is there? Like,
yeah.
Like, well, since only humans are practicing this shit,
charging people from beyond the grave.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand your logic. It was just like a little piece of gold moment. Like that conversation alone was like worth us continuing to film.
Right.
And then so we got all that on footage. After another 2 hours of us doing bullshit, we go to get another water break. So we're 4 hours into a seminar. He goes, all right, guys, you got 2 more hours to go. I was like, fuck.
I was like, hey, you got your money's worth.
This has been 4 hours up to this point, but you want us to do 6 hours. There is no shade in this dog park in the middle of summer with this LA heat just blaring down on us. I was like, fuck this, dude, I'm out. So I got my footage, got my guy, we left. We actually wind up going to EBI that night too, which is pretty cool.
Amazing, dude. Amazing.
Yeah, but it was just one of those, that was like one of those experiences where I was like, after having that conversation, having that weird, because some of it translates on the camera really well, and some of it doesn't. Like you can't really translate the feeling you get of certain weird things. Yeah. Like when all these people show up in one van together and you're the only one who's the outsider, and this dude winds up being this massive fucking giant of a man. Right. You're like, dude, if I'm a dick right now, I'm pretty sure, like I might heel hook this dude, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's going to fuck me up in the process. And I was like, could I do 3 months of filming like that straight, where I'm constantly in conflict, where I'm actually getting into fisticuffs with people?
Yeah, man.
And but it opened my eyes about how to do it. And the best way to do it wasn't really a series. The best way to do it was a documentary. That's what made us decide, all right, we don't really have enough footage here to make a show because we get sued like every episode. Why not make a documentary and just get sued a couple times on a one shot? And so that's what we figured we'd do.
And it's scary, bro. When you're shooting guerrilla style like that. Like I remember I did this, and mine was only like a food and travel show. I did it in Nashville, but it's like, you know, once people see cameras and stuff like that too, all bets are off, dude. I was like ducking beer cans coming at my head, like on camera. People are heckling you, and it's like that's just me like talking about food in Nashville. I can't imagine like when you're trying to expose someone's like career, you know?
Hey man, you can't talk shit about hot chicken in Nashville. They get
a yeah, man. So my father was a professional boxer, and I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. I started in Taekwondo. Cause we had a little karate school close to my house, and or I guess that's just Taekwondo, Tung Sudo, all that stuff. And then as I got older, I started boxing with my dad. I was going to this like old school gym. I got into wrestling and MMA when I was in high school, and then the Army, they have their own version of it. Yeah. So it's been, for me, it's been really beneficial, you know, mentally. There was times when, you know, it's tough to, you know, it pulls you away from maybe some trouble or stuff like that. And I feel like that was really big for me. It kept me disciplined and everything. So for you, I mean, you've been doing this your whole life as well. So what has it done for you mentally, physically, and spiritually?
Well, shit, that's a lot. well, I guess the best way to describe it would be how I started. So like I was born with a cleft palate, so I have scars on my face, and I was constantly going through surgeries as a child. So I'd always be showing up to school with a new scar or a new like set of stitches that hadn't dissolved yet, or a bandage on my face. And when you're doing that as a child, kids are cruel as fuck. So like, you know, every time you're going back to school, it's another fight. It's another like, okay, I have to defend myself some way. It'll either be a verbal defense or it'll be me trying to just like, okay, you need to cope with how this is going to happen because the shit's not going to stop. Or it was like, all right, well, things are about to get physical. And I fucking sucked at fighting, but I had a big mouth. So if people said something to me, I'd say some shit back. Then I'd wake up with a bloody nose and I'd be like, oh, well, I really suck at this. But I'd always defend myself verbally and just not so well physically. And then so one day it actually came to a head when I was 12 years old. I was in 8th grade, I think. I was in gym class sitting down, and we had these benches in our locker room, and I got hit in the back with something really hard, and I know what it was. It was like a wadded up piece of paper, and what they would do is put it in rubber bands.
Rubber bands, and they'd shoot that shit.
And so it hurt like it hurt real bad. And I turned around and go, dude, fucking stop. Just like a natural reaction. And a group of 5 kids stood up and just like came over to where I was sitting and just surrounded me while I was sitting there. And they just started fucking with me harder. And then finally, they were like, we're going to beat the shit out of you when this class is over. And I was like, oh, well, it's another day that ends in Y, I guess, you sons of bitches. So went outside, wind up going outside. And immediately, as soon as I got outside of the classroom or of the locker room, I just get hit. Bam. And they just commenced to whooping my ass. It was like 5 or 6 kids. They were beating the shit out of me. And I know it was for 5 minutes because they beat me up from the time the bell rang exactly to the time the next bell rang. And that's a 5-minute gap in between classes. Well, getting your ass whooped for 5 minutes by one person sucks. Try doing it by 5 or 6 people. They were stepping on my head. They stabbed me with pencils. I actually still have a couple like scars on my hands from defending the pencil stabs. Wow. And then they like hit me with book bags. 2 teachers stood there and watched the entire thing and did nothing about it. Nothing, not a thing. Wow. And apparently, and I could be wrong, but from what I heard anyway, it seemed like the teachers were getting sued quite a bit from breaking up fights. And so I guess like the policy was they had to wait for the officer on campus to break up fights. So that way it was more like officer issue than teacher issue. Right. Well, he was luckily for me on the other side of the campus breaking up another fight because I went to a very rough school. And so by the time I was done, I was just kind of laying there bleeding, and like some little pudgy legs came over and helped pick me up. And it was like one of my only friends in middle school at the time. And he helped me and he walked me to the nurse's office, and he took a card out of his pocket and he handed it to me and he said, you need this. Verbatim, the words that he said. And I looked at the card and it was for karate lessons. This dude had been taking karate since he was like in the womb. And so he said, you need this. And I asked my mom previously to do any other sport. I want to do baseball, football, hockey, soccer, whatever I could get my hands on. And she said no, because she was worried that I'd get hit in the face and my surgeries would have to be redone, or I'd have to go through more surgeries because I got injured in the face. When I gave her this card, she didn't say a word, but the very next month for my birthday, she let me know she paid for a whole year in full.
Awesome.
Wow.
And that's a good mom, man.
Yeah, man. Sure. And what's funny is like she was worried before that I was going to get injured, and she signed me up for the one thing you were guaranteed to get hit.
Punch in the face.
You know? Right. And so like I was very grateful, but like from that moment on, like it changes you. It's very difficult to explain because I only went because I wanted to learn how to fight. That was it. Not defend myself. I wanted to learn how to fight so I can get back at those people that hurt me.
Right. Yep.
But after that, like I could not get a fight to save my damn life.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them I was training. That was for me to know. And then like I tried so hard. All the things that I did before I was still doing. If they said something to me, I'd say something back, but it never escalated to a fight. And it took me years to really understand that what I was developing wasn't the ability to fight, although that is a product. That is one thing you're paying for. I was developing the ability to carry myself in a different way.
I was just going to say that, man. Like, it's your confidence. It's
body language.
The minute people see you, they're like, no, you know, it's just a natural deterrent.
Yeah. And it was like, it was an awakening, you know, it's one of those things where you realize there's so much that happens on the mat that you wish would happen in the rest of the world. Like no one gives 2 shits about your sex, age, height, weight, skin color on the mat. No one fucking cares. It is, can you do the thing that we're here to do? And if you can't, I'm here to help you do it. And you're here to help me better. But there's a community there of all these people that just want to make each other better as people. And so that is through violence. And that's like that whole like old school Chinese yin yang kind of thing, right? But what we're really doing is we're using a tool, which is aggression, violence, and technique. And we're using that to better ourselves because we understand those things, you know?
Right.
And then just one little note, I don't mean to be too long-winded about
No,
the
it's all
answer,
good.
but it's something important to me is like when I talk to parents and parents are concerned that their kids are going to become more violent because of martial arts. That may be the case. That is a possibility because you're a parent, motherfucker. Like you're with them more than us. So if you're an asshole, they're going to pick up those asshole vibes. Like we get them for like an hour. So we're going to do our best. But like I always talk to them, I'm like, well, how come your kid hasn't stabbed himself today? I go, what are you talking about? I go, when your kid, you have a kitchen in your house, right? And you have knives in your kitchen, right? How come your kid hasn't stabbed himself with a knife? And it's because you told him that a knife is a tool used for this. So he understands what that tool is for. Aggression is very similar. If you give someone aggression and don't give them an outlet for it, they're going to be dicks. If you give them aggression and you give them technique and you say, this is the time and place for this, they're now more aware of when they're supposed to use it. Telling people never to be aggressive, never to fight is the dumbest shit you could ever do because that's not realistic. That'd be like telling, again, someone never to use a knife. Well, that's not realistic.
No.
But if you give them a tool and a guide, they're more likely to use it for what it's supposed to be used for.
Dude, right. that is just spot on, man.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to hear an instructor speak about martial arts this way. So this is my last question. Rob's got one more for you. You're a martial artist. You are a top-notch BJJ practitioner. You're an instructor.
I'm mediocre. Mediocre.
Well, you'd probably choke me out. But so I just want to ask you, do you think that traditional martial arts have been replaced by modern-day MMA? Is there still a place for Taekwondo, karate, Aikido in the UFC or in Bellator or in any of the Premier Leagues?
Sorry, there's like a plane like flying over my house right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's super loud. It's like, where the hell did that come from? No, I actually don't think that they can. I don't think that there's any substitute for traditional martial arts. Like if you look at MMA, MMA means mixed martial arts. What are we mixing? We're mixing traditional arts. And whenever you look at the top level guys, we're looking at some of the greatest in the world. What do? They bring in specialists in particular arts to make themselves better. Couple examples, Tyrone Woodley, when he was fighting Stephen Thompson, because everybody laughed at Stephen Thompson and then they got kicked in the face because they didn't know their enemy. What they would do is laugh at karate. And then when they fought him, they had never really practiced fighting karate people before.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so they got their ass beat. Well, Woodley was like, not me. Then he was smart enough to bring in the top 3 sport karate guys on the NASCA circuit into his training camp and work with him to make him better at fighting people who are sport karate based. Mm-hmm. And what did that do? That gave him a great result, right? He wound up beating Stephen Thompson.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing when you're looking at like Jackson Winklejohn, one of the best top-notch gyms in the world, right? We'll say maybe in the top 5, top 10 at least, of this breeding ground for champions. What do? They bring in Gracie Baja guys to teach them jiu-jitsu. Why? Well, because you need a specialist because each range of combat is different. And you need to be able to have somebody to help you understand the intricacies of a range of combat. Being a hodgepodge of just everything is okay. But when you find like these elite level guys are specialists in various particular arts, it really shines on the map. Like you can see, oh, I recognize that stuff. That guy's a wrestler. Oh, that like Damian Maya, for instance, is old as fuck. And he's still choking people out. Yep. Why? Because he's a specialist in that range of combat. And some of them are just trying to be generic. And it just doesn't work that way.
Gotcha.
All right. So last question real quick. The McDojo Life Documentary, I'm so looking forward to it. I really can't wait for it to come out. So do you have any updates on it? And I guess, what was the motivation? Well, you kind of went over the motivation to get it started, but yeah, if there's any updates and if there's any release date or anything like that.
Well, originally we were supposed to film in April. So we started our crowdfunding in like January. We wind up doing like 2 or 3 months of crowdfunding because I think 90 days is what it allows you on Indiegogo to do a crowdfunding. So once that was over, we were like, well, shit, we don't have the money that we wanted, but we have enough to make a documentary. We just have to like change the story around. And so we were originally supposed to film in April. Unfortunately, March is when COVID lockdowns hit. Right. And so we can't film a documentary about martial arts without martial arts gyms being open. Right. And then so we were like, all right, well, how about this? Who knows how long this will last? We'll just give it a couple months. Let's target for August. Literally everything's set up. I posted my road trip because I'm doing a road trip across the country to get to Fresno, right? And I figured I'd make a whole bunch of content on the way, like additional content for the movie. And a week before, I had paid all this money for like these nice, beautiful promos and like cartoons. My homie Immortal Choke, who does those, which is really cool. So it was a little cartoon me and a little cartoon car driving across the country. I thought it was funny. And so I was going to make all these stops. Well, a week before my trip, COVID lockdown number 2 happens in California. Literally the week before. I'm like, fuck. Okay, well, now what do I do? Okay, well, now we're shooting for January. So what I've decided, though, is lockdown be damned. I'm going to film my shit in January. Right. Like, I'm not going to let anything else stop it. Like, I can do probably 65% of the film outside of gyms because a lot of it's interview-based stuff of us talking to people. And, man, I got to tell you, like, some of the shit that we came across, the reason that we have to film in California is because some of the psychos that we want to film, they've agreed, and they're in California. Like, I don't. Do you guys know James Hydrick?
Who is this?
His name is James Hydrick.
I don't.
No? All right. Little insight to the documentary. A little nugget here for people that might not know. All right. James Hydrick was on the show The Amazing Randy. The Amazing Randy was a very famous musician.
Yes.
Right? And so Randy would do this challenge where he would offer anybody with supernatural powers to come on.
Was he the guy with the phone book?
Yes.
I knew it. Yeah.
So that guy, later on in life, winds up doing a full hour PBS special admitting that he knows he's a fraud. He knows nothing about martial arts. Everything he learned was off of TV, but he convinced thousands of people that he was good at this. And they gave him money. He ran a cult. That dude winds up molesting kids, right? Usually goes down that way. When he molests these kids, they wind up like obviously doing like a class action on this dude. Like, hey, we're all going to get together and we noticed that you molested all of us. So we're going to go after you. Well, he goes on the run. While this dumbass is on the run, he books himself for the Sally Jesse Raphael show. Books himself while on the run from the police. What do you think happened when he got there? He met the police and they arrest him. Well, they figured that this dude's fucking crazy. So rather than putting him in jail, he gets a plea deal and he winds up going to a mental institution, which is only an hour away from our production studio. Wow. So we're going to interview that guy.
Awesome.
We're going to interview a whole bunch of like, I guess you could say subject matter experts like Mike Beltran, because like, who knows fights?
I love Beltran, dude.
He's the man, yeah.
But who knows fights better than somebody who watches fights all the damn time?
Yeah.
We're really looking to try to do like a round table type conversation with as many referees as we can. We're hoping to get Herb Dean, and we know we can get John McCarthy. And so we'd like to get like all the best referees that we can find and just have this open discussion, and maybe get a couple, maybe about 15 minutes worth of a good conversation out of that. We'll probably do 4 hours of filming. You know how it goes, man.
Yeah.
You film before, you might get 10, 15 minutes of good footage or usable footage. Or it could be one of those things that doesn't make the movie. But
well, we are coming up to the secret portion of our podcast.
Ooh.
Yes.
This is the one thing we didn't tell you about.
I like surprises, man. Unless it's like somebody naked.
Everybody says that too. I remember like we had Drew Dober on, and he was like, "All right." He's like, "I love improv."
Yeah. I love this part.
So I'm sure you've heard like a lot of fighters, they've gone 3 rounds in the octagon. A lot of fighters have gone 5 rounds in the octagon.
Yep.
Well, Rob from McDojo Life, you are about to go 10 rounds with Jonathan and Rob.
Yes.
Oh my God.
These are quick fire answers.
All right.
And they're very serious.
Yeah, very serious.
I want you to take this very seriously. All right.
Something tells me that's sarcasm.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I will be. Yes.
All right. Here we go. Question 1. How much money would it take for you to let Mike Tyson punch you in the gut?
We're talking in the millions, homie. I'd say at least 5. I'm just saying, man, that's how Houdini died, wasn't it? I'm just trying to live, damn it.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I agree. At least $1 million.
Yeah. Dude, you're going to have to pay me the cash.
Yeah. If you were a superhero, would you rather the power to fly or super strength?
I would probably want to do the power to fly, because when you you don't want to be in the middle of a heavy masturbation thing and then forget you got super strength and snatch it off.
Good point.
Yeah, I think I'd forget. I just oh damn it, not again.
So caught up in the moment.
All right. Toilet paper. Does the paper hang over the roll or under the roll?
This is a very easy. It's business in the front, party in the back, right? So it's all a personal preference. And I'm a party in the back kind of guy.
So you like it going under the roll?
I do. Party in the back.
I'm an over the roll kind of guy. All right.
That's a good one. If you could be one animal for one day, any animal for one day, which would you choose?
Oh, dude, easy. It would be any monkey in a zoo. I would be just throwing feces all day.
In a zoo.
You're just like slinging shit at people.
Specifically a zoo. Because, like, monkey enclosures aren't, like, cased off.
Specifically.
Like, are, but, like, the little monkeys, they just let them free. I'd be throwing poo all day. I'd have the best day.
All right. If aliens came to Earth tomorrow, what's the first thing they would do?
No, they would probably just tell people like, no, we were not probing you. That was not us.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't me. That's not our thing, dude.
If you were exiled from the U.S., which country would you go to?
Oh, man, Capri.
Capri is awesome.
Oh, my God. I got to visit Capri when I was, like, younger, like 18, 19 years old. I did, like, this 3-week trip around, like, the Europe. I went to Greece and Italy and Pompeii, and I got to go to Capri. And I got to tell you, dude, if I was balling like that, where I could have a mansion on Capri, that's where I would go.
Dude, Capri is great. I actually went there just a few years ago. Did the Amalfi Coast and went to Capri. It's gorgeous, man.
They have the blue coral, I think, is just outside of Capri.
Dude, it's awesome. How was Pompeii, by the way?
Pompeii is fucking cool. It's weird because, like, you look around.
Because everyone died from a volcano.
Yeah, like, well, it's not just that everyone died. Like, they're still there. It's like walking in on your parents, like, sleeping. Like, yeah, I'm still fucking dead. Like, dude. Like, there was like a dog. He looked happy as hell. He's like, the bitches are dying.
All right. Would you rather never be able to see again or never be able to hear again?
I think I'd be cool without hearing things. I think I'd be cool. I like seeing shit. I like movies a lot, and I can read subtitles. Yeah, I love movies, so I don't think I'd be able to like live without being able to watch the movie.
See, when I came up with this question, I didn't think about subtitles.
Yeah.
Rob's a system beater.
Yeah. Well, like you got Connery behind you, right? Like I would still like, yeah, dude. Yeah. Like losers always whine about their best.
Winners go home and fuck the Broncos.
See, I can still read that line. I can still enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you rather go on a beach vacation or a road trip?
Road trip all day. I live by the beach. I'm not that far away, so I could. I don't need a vacation. It's right there. But road trip is cool. Like I love meeting new people and interacting with new people because I feel like you learn something from everyone you meet, and so it's like really neat to meet new people. Like
I also think there's always like that element of the unexpected on a road trip where you never know where the adventure is going to take you, kind of thing.
I agree with that too, dude. Like I've had some of my best times alone just driving. You really do never know what's going to happen. Although now it's a little bit more exciting. It's a little bit like road trip mixed with like Grand Theft Auto. Cause like I might run into like a burning building might be over there from a riot. Like, this is great. I just pack up my things and go,
On to the next. Okay. This is my last question. You are on death row, Rob.
Oh, fuck.
Tomorrow you are going to be executed.
That blows.
What would you have be your last meal?
Last meal. Oh shit, that's a good one. What really sucks is the best meal I've ever had was in Las Vegas, but I don't remember the name of the goddamn restaurant because I was so drunk. Yeah, dude, I was hammered drunk. Me and my homies, like this would be the meal though if they could find this place. So like we were in one hotel on the strip, and we were just fucked up drunk. We were having a good time, and we were all just pissed off because we went to a really shitty strip club that overcharged and underperformed. Like it's really bad.
Worse than that.
Gives you a lap dance, it's not on your lap. You're like, how much am I paying you? All right, well, I'm gonna go back outside where they were doing this for free. But yeah, man, and we asked the concierge, where's the best steak we can find in Vegas? And the guy's like, I know a place. And from his concierge table where he was supposed to be working, he walked us across 6 different hotels, and hand dropped us off at this little tiny hole in the wall in Vegas.
Really?
It only had yes, dude. It had a beautiful lobster tank, but it only had like 4 tables in there. That was it. Super
crazy.
small.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. And we sat down, and dude, I ordered the surf and turf. I had lobster and I had steak. And it was the best steak I ever had. It was the best lobster I ever had, and it was damn sure the best mashed potatoes I ever had in my entire life. Now that could have been because of the marijuana and alcohol, but hands down, best meal I've ever had.
Awesome. All right, last one for you. Would you rather? This is my favorite one. Be a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, or sit next to Joe Rogan during UFC 254.
Oh shit. I'd definitely rather be on the show.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm like, at this point, the dude's been so fucking nice to me and like really helped elevate my career in a big way. Like,
are you guys boys?
Not even like.
You guys are boys?
Perfect. What was that?
You guys are boys? You guys like talk?
Dude, like, he's just a nice dude.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Here's a couple examples, right? So the guy, one, he shared my stuff like at least 6 or 7 times on his Instagram page, and every time that he's done that, it has exponentially blown up my page.
Right.
And then he's talked about my page on his show like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
And on my birthday, it was like when Adesanya versus Gastelum, which was the fight of the year that year. He gave me tickets to that UFC for my birthday.
What?
Unexpectedly, because I asked him to see his show. I happened to be in Atlanta for something that was different, but it happened to also be on my birthday weekend. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me go get some tickets, and I'll go buy tickets to watch his stand-up in Atlanta. So when I went, immediately it was sold out. And I hit him up, and I was like, hey, dude, I went to go buy tickets to see your show for my birthday, but unfortunately you're sold out. Are you going to do like a second selling of tickets? Sometimes if you sell enough tickets, they'll expand the auditorium and sell more. And he was like, nah, man, they're all sold out. But I'll tell you what, I got 2 tickets waiting for you at Will Call.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's really fucking cool. So I go, I see his show. And unfortunately, at the end of the show, not unfortunately this part, but at the end of the show, he does his Q&A where he'll let anybody ask him questions from the audience. And so I raised my hand. The only thing I wanted to say was, thank you so much for what you've done for me. That's all I wanted to say. And he picked me in the audience, and I stood up. And as soon as I went to go say something, some drunk asshole yelled. And I was like, all right, well, let's let him finish. And then another person yelled, and then another person yelled. And because I wasn't like yelling over them, he was like, all right, man, go and have a seat. And he picked somebody else, right? Just because we wanted to keep things moving. And I was like, fuck. Like, all I wanted to do was say thank you. So the next day, I'm eating lunch. I'm ready to leave. I was about to leave Atlanta because I had nothing else to do. Well, he hits me up. He sends me a message. He was like, hey, man, are you still in Atlanta? And I was like, yeah, why? What's up? He goes, did you plan on being at the fights tonight? I was like, well, I don't have tickets. And he was like, you do now. He goes, they're waiting at Will Call.
Wow.
And I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, granted, we have never had like a full-blown conversation.
Right.
And I was like, holy fuck, like, this is just super nice of this dude who doesn't know me from Adam to just help me like that. I was the third row floor.
Awesome,
wow, that's crazy.
I was sitting right next to Killer Mike, like the fucking like the
rapper.
Yeah, the rapper / protest guy. Like, he's actually a fucking great dude, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, it was like a very surreal moment. And I hit him up. I was like, hey, dude, all I want to do is just say thank you. But of course, it's like he had a show, so he dipped. And then after he had UFC, then he had to leave after that, of course. So I didn't have time to say thank you. All I want to do is just shake his hand and say thank you. Because I get to do this now for a living, not just because of him, but I think that he boosted where I was to where I wanted to be, like that. And all he had to do was just mention your name. That's a very powerful position.
Yeah, man. I have a crazy Joe Rogan story as well. When I was, this has to be like in 2003, I was like 23 years old, and I was bartending at the time, and I would open this bar, and I was the only person in the bar. We actually, it was in a shitty neighborhood, so we'd keep the doors locked. So if someone wanted to come in, they had to knock. I'd like slide the thing open to see who was there and slide it back. So there's a knock on the door. I open it up, and there's like these 2 chicks out there. So I was like, all right, come on. I unlock it. They come in, and there was with a guy, and it was Joe Rogan.
Oh shit!
And they're sitting in they're the only. It's the 4 of us in the bar. So I'm drinking with them. We're having a great time, and we're like just busting each other's balls and like all this shit. And he like gives me his credit card at the end. I run his credit card, and I like walk him out. I unlock the door for him. I was like, "Thanks, guys, nice meeting you." And I walk out, and I come back. He tipped me $100
Damn.
Oh shit.
And like,
That was
dude, for
nice,
like
man.
in 2003, for a 23-year-old kid, that was more money than I was gonna make that night, you know?
Right.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
Just a stand-up guy, man. Stand-up
Yeah.
guy.
And like he's helped a lot of people that I know, like Miriam Nakamoto, who had like this, she had major knee issues, which actually pretty much ended her Muay Thai career. And she was one of the best in the world to do the damn thing, like 5-time, if not more, Muay Thai world champion.
Yeah.
And her knee got blown out and during a fight. And so it's really fucked her up. And like he helped her out and helped get her some help with her knee, like asked nothing in return. Like, people like to give that dude a hard time because of what he says, but I think that people in today's culture don't understand what it's like to enjoy the freedom that they have of free speech. They would much rather try to tear down other people's ability to have free speech because it puts them in a position of power, to feel important. Oh, I stopped that person from saying that thing. I'm a good person. No, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
I personally want to be able to spot the assholes. And the only way to do that is you have to let them talk.
Yeah.
Like, and I gotta say, like, by letting people speak their mind, you get to find out a lot about them, and like, I think that that's one of those people that has shown the world, like, look, you can have open discourse and disagree with people and it not be this like knockdown, drag out fight. It could
100%.
just be two people disagreeing. And I think that that's such an important lesson. And I really like hope that one day I don't even like the question was, would I rather sit by him or be on his show? I mean, I would just want to shake his hand. That would be it.
That's
Just
awesome.
say, hey man, thank you. And that would be all I would need to just be gratified and feel happy.
Wow.
Just to thank somebody who's helped me.
Right. Right.
Well, dude, look, Rob, that is all the time we have. And I just got to say, dude, I am so grateful that I found your account.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we became friends through social media.
Yeah, man.
It's amazing. And dude, I wish you the absolute best with your documentary. Guys, if you haven't checked out his page, go to @McDojo Life on Instagram. There's some amazing merch, and the content is actually brilliant.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was a really fun podcast, and I'm glad that we were able to shoot the shit and talk some shop because it's like my favorite thing in the world to do.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
man,
dude.
definitely.
And man, I hope to when I come to Florida, dude, you and I are getting a beer or 6.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, whatever you want. When you come to Florida, just let me know. We'll make it happen.
Done. Awesome.
Nice.
Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jonathan.
All right, I'm Rob. Thanks, guys.
And that's Rob from McDojo Life. Take care, everybody.
See you later.